Guys, welcome back to the Desert Road. Today we have this awesome 2021 Mercedes GLS 580. This is the one with the 8-cylinder engine. It's got about 30,000 miles on it, so we're gonna do a review letting you know how it held up over that time, as well as my experience of week-long use in this, taking road trips, taking it around the city, and everything in between. We're gonna take a look at the interior, talk a little bit about the infotainment, and just overall how this mammoth of a car did for me day to day over the last week. Let's go. Guys, before we jump into the review, make sure to check out Darula Cars. It's our guide to let you know how to drive beautiful luxury cars just like this without losing any money on them. Click the link below and get started today. Let's go. All right, jumping into the exterior of this GLS 580. As you guys can see, quite a bit of chrome here on the car. This is the 580 and it does come with the AMG package. I wish there was some even more aggressive bits on here letting you know that this is the higher tier, more aggressive engine version. There's really not much to make it stand out outside of obviously the badge on the back and a few very small tidbits. Big Mercedes grille. Again, this kind of expands on their other cars in the lineup, just a bigger version of some of their smaller SUVs. It's a handsome car, but not particularly striking or making a statement in any way. It's more on the conservative side. We got the AMG, the 21-inch wheels. I think these wheels fit the car very well. You really don't need to go any bigger on here, even for a car this size. The extra wheels fill up the wheel well very nicely. You have the 275s up front, the 315s in the back. Quite a bit of rubber on here. The wheels sit and the car looks very good with these wheels on there. This car is currently in the lowered mode. It helps you get in and out of the car, lowering it about an inch or so from where it drives normally. As you can see, the car also has the running boards on here. It does help a little bit with the getting in and out of the car, but depending on how you stand next to the car, it could end up whacking your shimmy a little bit here. So overall, you can see it's a handsome car. It is quite large, especially compared to its main rival in the German segment, which is the X7. It's just a couple inches longer than that. Mercedes did a good job. Very, very polished, very refined. As we come around the back, you can see it actually has real exhaust outlets on here, which is great. Quite a bit of chrome here on the back as well. Let's take a look at the trunk. It does have excellent trunk space. This is with the third row folded down. Even with the seats folded up, it still gives you plenty of room here to stuff a couple bags, some luggages here in the back. So you can see, very usable for a family. You can throw the strollers. Taking this on a road trip, we didn't run out of any space with the trunk of this size. Coming around here on the side, we're gonna take a look at the back seats now. As you can see, this has the optional bench configuration. This can also come in captain's chairs as well. Overall, again, plenty of room back here to put child seats, rear facing child seats. Really no complaints from that point at all. Has the illuminated Mercedes Benz badging here on the door sills, front and back. A nice little touch. Gives it a little bit of that more premium feel. All right, now jumping into the front of the car. Overall, let me start off with some of my dislikes and gripes. As you look around, a lot of these panels and some of this material, you can't really tell if it's real leather or some of the fake leather that Mercedes uses in their cars. I believe the seats are real leather, but everything else, like even this dash, I want to say is part fake leather, and it gives it a certain cheapness to this interior that for brand new, what this car was around $120,000, it doesn't sit at the top of the class to what some of the other cars do in this price point. Again, no Alcantara headliner here, just you know, more of a basic steering wheel. You have this wood. And again, I can't tell if it's fake wood or real wood kind of trim right here. It looks overall on the cheaper side. So interior wise, as per common complaint of everybody else, Mercedes dropped the ball in a car of this class to what is ultimately should be the S-class of SUVs right here. All right, getting inside the car, let's power it on, show you some of the other couple small tidbits. It has the Burmester stereo, which is nice. It's the lower end of the Burmester. There's also an upgrade to that as well. This one sounds good. I've never really had it turned up all the way, but it gets the job done. Another one of my gripes, bigger gripes, is the fact that they don't give you a panoramic moonroof in here. Again, for a car this size, in this class, there should be something bigger and better than this. This is, again, a manual slider here. Very small sunroof over here that you can just open up. Again, space-wise, it's fairly usable. You got the cubby here, glove box of adequate size, definitely enough storage space on the doors there as well. Outside of that, initial impressions and just what I felt over a week long of driving this is the ergonomics are excellent in this car. The seats are very supportive and very, very adjustable. They have everything from massage functions to individual bolster adjustments, just a lot of tailoring you can get, I imagine, to almost every specific body type. Again, we got the cooled seats, we got the heated seats on here. You can control that seat from the driver's seat as well. You got, in typical Mercedes fashion, all the controls here on the door as well. They got their newer infotainment screen over here. You do have to get used to it quite a bit. The graphics overall look good, right? But it is, in certain ways, as you can see, just somewhat laggy. You can control some of that through this touchpad as well. I'm still kind of getting used to this. I don't think it's the best implemented system I've been in. It would almost be nice to have a scroll wheel here as well. You're kind of like guiding and navigating everything with this touch screen and doing some sliding. Maybe a little bit more time and I would get used to this, but overall not my favorite. Also, this is a 2021 model, and I should note that there is no wireless Apple CarPlay in this car, so everything has to be done plugging your phone in if you want that to come up on the screen. Outside of that, again, just brief notes on what this car is now with 30,000 miles. We're talking overall fairly well. There's not many points in here that show any signs of wear, so that's a pro in my book for a car that's about 4 years old, 30,000 miles. Everything still feels relatively solid. There's a couple rattles and squeaks, I mean, if you really tug on some of these, but outside of that, it's built very well overall, so no gripes in the build quality department. All right, guys, pulling out in this GLS, initial impressions is just how buttery smooth everything works and seems and seals together in this car. So from the engine, you're not getting a whole lot of power enthusiasm out of this engine, but with 480 horsepower, this car definitely likes to go. What this offers over some of the competitors, maybe even over some of the sporty ones, not that you can have much sport in some of these, it's just the subdued nature of this ride. It has the power, it's got the awesome road going manners, but it doesn't scream at you in any way. There's no burbles, there's no pops. It's a very, very refined experience overall. I'm actually quite surprised how easy a car like this drives for something this size. Literally just very easy to just jump in here, get comfortable, and go. I have no gripes with maneuvering this car in any way. And what impresses me most, honestly, is just how well it goes over the road. It hides any kind of road imperfections, bumps, potholes incredibly well. It's like you would almost guess they're not even there. This does ride on air suspension. This does have two settings. It's got a comfort and a sport. Not much difference between both of them. In sport, it just firms things up quite a bit. Where you notice it especially is around turns. So it doesn't wallow the car as much as if it does in comfort mode. Comfort mode is definitely perfect on a road trip or just if you're cruising in a straight line. But if you want a little bit more of involvement, especially around a curvier road, definitely helps to firm things up in here. Again, I like that this engine isn't overly growly or barking at you, even if you're getting on it. The torque is wonderful in here, 520 pound-feet of torque. So you have power on demand in here, whatever you're doing in any type of situation. If it was me, I would definitely stick to buying this V8 engine. I feel like for a car this size, the 6-cylinder would be quite underpowered. So I appreciate having this 4.0 marvelous engine in here. It pairs very, very well to the transmission as well. These paddles on here have a very, very nice touch, nice feel, nice engagement. So if you are so inclined to use them a little bit, just very, very awesome engagement and action out of these paddles. Again, this is not a race car or sports car in any way, but it holds its own, doing very well, even going around turns, even going slightly faster. It doesn't feel as boaty as some of the American cars, and just overall just floats and goes down the road extremely well. Very little to minimal road noise in here. The one part where Mercedes dropped the ball, these are not dual pane windows on here, so they gave it just slight extra thickness, but even with that, cruising this around, it's probably one of the quietest cars I've been in. Same thing talking about the tires, literally virtually no road noise coming from these tires. Even being on the thicker side with 315s in the back, you hardly hear any tire noise outside of like maybe the worst of asphalt pavements going down the freeway. What I like about this car, where it shines to me the most, is you can throw this into almost any kind of condition or whatever you're doing, and it does exceedingly well. Whether you're just cruising around town or you're taking it on the freeway, there's nothing that can be thrown in this car, and it takes everything like a champ. Typically cars, you know, excel in one side or the other, or lean more one way. And again, where this leans to me more is that freeway drive. It just gobbles up miles like no other, even sitting at 80 miles an hour or so. But it also does exceedingly well just cruising it slowly around the city in traffic. It doesn't get bogged down, stopping at lights, getting up to speed from lights. It just does very well. So I'm impressed at how well balanced Mercedes was able to make this car overall, considering its size. Moving into our 3 likes and 3 dislikes. My top 3 likes. Number 1 is the ride of this car. The air suspension handles any type of pavement and road surface absolutely wonderful. It glides down the road, but it doesn't have that floaty feeling associated with air suspension or some bigger cars. So absolute kudos to Mercedes to making this be just such a wonderful drive and place to be in. Adding to that is also the ergonomics of the car just being supremely comfortable. You got the grab handles here, all the armrests, everything is in a perfect location. Number 2 like is the quietness of this car. Just driving down the road, again, outside of absolutely the worst pavements and surfaces, this is probably one of the most hushest and sedate environments inside the car I've been in. Again, it's something that's very welcome, especially if you have kids screaming in the back and you're trying to hold your cool against everything else. And number 3 like is this V8 engine. While it's not the most powerful, it has the most horsepower, especially in this class, it does have enough horsepower and torque to get you out of any situation. For a car this size, the V8 in here is an absolute must, and it would be my pick in something like this. Moving into the dislikes. Number 1 dislike is how expensive this car is. It is $120,000 new, and again, Mercedes nickels and dimes you on almost every single extra little feature to make this feel more premium, which moves us into point number 2. Some of the things it's missing, or you just don't have in here, such as the panoramic moonroof in here. I want to see more features, more luxury in a car like this, especially something that elicits itself as the S-class of SUVs. And number 3 dislike, it's the way this car looks. Having the V8 engine, having the AMG package in here, it just looks overall a little too vanilla. It's very forgettable, especially driving on the road. Nobody will really second glance this car at all. And I wish it just had a little bit more sport or just a knack to it to differentiate it, not only from other Mercedes, but from the other blobs of all these SUVs out there on the road today. All right, in summary, I really enjoyed my week-long time spent with this Mercedes. Looking at the mileage, it has over 30,000 miles on here. This car held up phenomenally well. I don't know what this felt like when it was fresh off the lot, but I can't imagine it feeling significantly different than it does to me right now. Everything is buttoned up very well. Just driving down, you don't hear almost any rattles or squeaks taking this around. Now, the beauty of depreciation is this car, you can pick this something like this up for around $70,000 today. And to me, for that money, it offers a lot in almost every single department, especially from your everyday family hauler SUV type ride. I would definitely take a look at this if you're in the market for a pre-owned amazing family hauler. Until next time on the Desert Road.